Welcome back, fuckers. Alrighty, in today's video, we're going to continue on in the Su-25 Tango DCS for Beginners tutorial series. So I hope you guys have been enjoying it. From the feedback I've received in the comments and the likes and engagement from the previous videos, seems to be pretty well liked. But I'm always open to any suggestions or anything else that you guys may feel that I can do better. That's what I want to do at the end of the day. I want to make this as informative and as helpful for you guys as possible. So main thing is that I've been doing differently is I've been doing the mission editor part before we fly and actually go through that. So if you're brand new to DCS or if you haven't really mucked around with the mission editor, let me know in the comments below if you find the mission editor part on how to actually make the little mini mission and then fly it together. If that's helping you guys, I feel it would be, because the mission editor is pretty scary getting into it when you first get into this game. It's pretty intimidating, but once you get your head around it, it's not too bad. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. Let me know in the comments if you like the mission editor part, or you're not too fussed, you don't really care about that, you just want to just jump in and fly and bomb stuff or do whatever you want to do. Let me know what you guys are thinking, how you're enjoying the series so far, and we will go from there. We'll tweak it as required. All right, so today's video, we're going to be running through the dumb bombing, so unguided munitions, and mainly the Fab 100, the general purpose 100 kilogram low drag bomb that the Su-25 can carry, because the fundamentals of doing unguided bombing will help you when you get to the more advanced stuff, which is doing the precision guided bombing and weapon employment. So we're going to be going through dumb bomb employment tactics, how you kind of set yourself up to drop bombs, and kind of the techniques and methods on a basic level. Okay, and again, I'm not a fighter pilot. I never have been a fighter pilot. This is just from my experience, from doing my own research, talking with others, watching other people, and this seems to work well for me, so it should work well for you as well. But that's enough jibber jabber. Let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of the video. So we're going to hit the mission editor. I'm going to click on that bad boy. We're going to go open mission. You're going to bring up your Su-25 Tango beginners mission that you guys have been making alongside me with this tutorial series. And again, if this is your first time seeing this video, strongly recommend you go back to the start, video number 1, and then just work your way through. Okay, and you'll catch back up to where we are. And yeah, we run through from woe to go, brand new, get new to actually be combat proficient, and yeah, we'll get it happening. So we're going to load up our mission. Click on the load, and it's going to do its thing. And if your mission doesn't load up as fast as mine, I would suggest having a look at your hard drive. And if you don't have DCS installed on a solid state hard drive, I would strongly recommend you do that, because it cuts down your loading time on this game massively. Okay, so if you're just running DCS on a normal hard drive, not a solid state, it's going to be painful for you. You're going to be loading up. Loading times in this game are going to be huge. All right, as soon as I realized that, I went straight down the computer store and bought myself a dedicated SSD to run DCS on. And I'm about to actually go and spend some money. I don't know, I'm torn between whether to dump some money on some more RAM for my computer and bump it up to 64 gig, or buy another NVMe M.2 SSD and just have that exclusively for DCS, because I've got, at the moment, I'm running Windows and DCS only on my M.2 drive, which is the fastest drive I've got. But I'm thinking I might jump it over and just have it exclusively on one without the operating system on there at all. Anyways, that's enough talky about stuff that we're not really worried about today. So on your map, you should have our previous stuff we've been doing. So we've got our cold start aircraft that we took off from Batumi, flew the waypoints. We've got our air start Su-25 and the KC-130 tanker that you're using to practice with your aerial refuel. Sorry, not aerial refuel, your formation flying off of the tanker, off of a nice big target that you can fly formation off of. And now we're going to get into the cool stuff. So you've got the basics down. You should hopefully be able to fly, or start up, take off, navigate, and land, and hopefully now start to fly formation. So you've got the basics down. If you don't have any of those things down, okay, that I just mentioned, I would keep practicing those. You can still keep doing the bombing stuff, but always keep practicing on this basic stuff. Okay, the basic stuff. The basics are going to make your life easier because it's going to make your brain not have to think about as much stuff that you shouldn't be thinking about. You can concentrate on the more important things like bombing things. Right. So you're going to scroll out of the Caucasus map, and you're going to come up to the northwest, and we're going to look for an airfield called Anapa. So this is where we're going to put our next aircraft that you guys can use in the series. So we're going to click on Add or Modify Airplane Group. So hopefully you guys should be getting to grips with how to put aircraft into the mission editor now. We're going to just left click on the map near Anapa. We're going to change the coalition to the country to Georgia so we can get the Su-25. We're not worried about the tasking and the aircraft unit type or the aircraft type. Scroll down, Su-25 Tango, changing our skill level to client. And we're going to rename this. We're going to call this Su-25 Tango Bomber. So you want to get in the habit when you're doing mission editor stuff, you want to get in the habit of naming your groups, because later on down the track, when you want to get a little bit more advanced and you want to start mucking around with making mission triggers and all the rest of the stuff, you can make some pretty cool stuff in the mission editor, but you've got to know what you're doing and you're learning the basics right now. So get the habit form now to always name your groups and always save the game. Okay, I don't save it enough, and I've been stung so many times. You'd think I'd learn by now, but I still haven't. So name the group so it makes sense to you. So this group or this aircraft is an Su-25T bomber. So when you join the mission, you're going to see the name in the spawn screen will be called Su-25T bomber. So we know that this is the one we want to click on. Other things in here that we haven't really covered. So you got your tail number. So this is the actual number that's on the aircraft. Okay, and it'll default to whatever number it wants to give it. You can change that in the mission editor if you want. So we're going to change it to 069 giggity just because I'm a child. And we're going to come down, and this call sign here, this is what your little pilot will radio in. So if you call, when we go to start up, if we contact Anapa on the ATC, he's going to use this call sign to talk to Anapa. So he'll be, if we had it left at this, he'd be saying Anapa Enfield 11 request startup. That's what it'd say. So you can choose on the drop down here. Let's change it. We'll change it to Chevy, and we'll make it 41 just because it sounds better with the 4. And that's it. So now our call sign is Chevy 41. That is what will be known as on the radio in the internal radio comms where you're using ATC and contacting towers and all the rest of it. We're going to come down here now, and we're going to select our type of waypoint. We're going to say take off from ramp, and we're going to zoom in here, and we're going to pick a parking spot. So right now it's default to number 20. We're going to come over here to number 87. I like the look of that one. Let's go 87. So park, scroll down to your appropriate number you'd like, 87. So we've moved our aircraft to there now. And that is our aircraft in the mission, ready to rumble. So now we're going to go through how to make a custom loadout, custom weapons loadout for yourself, because it's going to save you a lot of time and hassle, especially in the Su-25 because it's got so many pylons. It's going to make your life a lot easier and a lot more simple. So what we're going to do, you're going to come over to the waypoint tab, okay, or the route tab. You're going to come to the next tab across where it says payload. It's a little circle with a cross looking thing on it. Click on that. And this is going to bring up your weapons payload. It's going to give you a 3D image of the aircraft, and we can do some things here. So you can see we've got our number, okay, 069 giggity. You can change your skin in here. So this is what your aircraft will look like as soon as you spawn in on the, I'm just going to delete that because I was mucking around before. What it's going to look like when you spawn into the mission. Okay, so you click on the Su-25 Tango bomber slot. This will be your aircraft. It'll have this paint skin, it'll have this number, and it will have nothing fitted to the pylons at this stage. So we're going to make ourselves a custom loadout. So all of these down here with all this APU-8 Vicar M*2 KH25 MLR blah blah blah, all that stuff, that is the default DCS loadouts. Okay, and you can see there's it's got on the pylons here, this is we have the aircraft straight in front of us. We've got 11 pylons on the actual Su-25. Okay, so we've got 5 on each wing, and we've got 1 on the center line. And if you click on any of these custom loadouts, you can see it gives you a little 3D image of what it looks like. And you can have a squiz. All right, but this doesn't really make any sense to me because I don't really fly the Russian stuff. So if you're brand new to DCS, all of that stuff is going to be like hieroglyphics to you. It's not going to make any sense at all. So we're going to make a custom loadout that you can name what you want to name it so that it makes sense to you and you know exactly what it is. Because we're going to be doing Fab 100s is the bomb that we're going to be taking. We're going to say new, and we're going to change the name. So we're going to make one of these as our own. So we're going to call it 00 space dash, and then we're going to go Fab 100 x8. Okay. 00 Fab 100 times 8. You're going to press OK. And you can see there it has put it in the list. So at the moment, there's nothing on the pylons. Okay, but we've got a mission payload name there. Now, the reason we called it 00 is it puts this list in alphabetical order. So at the moment, because we just made it, puts it at the bottom by default, but we want your custom loadouts to go to the top because you want to use them first because you made them and you know what they are, right? So if I just go back to the waypoint tab here and then just come back across to the payload tab, you can now see that it is put our 00 Fab 100 times 8 to the top of the list. So any custom loadouts, if you want them to be at the top of your list when you go to load up, when you start your aircraft up, put a 00 in front of it and then put the name of whatever it is. And then everyone that you make will go up to the top above the DCS defaults. Righto. So we're going to put bombs onto our preload mission payload. So on stations number 1 and stations 11, so you can see they're looking a little bit different now. Okay, so the wingtip pylons, this guy, okay, they can only carry air-to-air weapons or a pod. And you can right-click on the station. So we're going to click on station 11 here, right-click, and we can see there we've got air-to-air missiles. We can put an R60M infrared missile, so it's like a Sidewinder, or we can put a MPS 410, which is a jammer pod, I believe. I haven't really done much into that just yet, or we can put some smoke generators on, but you're not going to worry about that. We're going to leave them empty because we are worrying about bombing. Okay, and you can just use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out to have a look. So we're going to go to station 10. We're going to right click now. We've got options. We can put air-to-air missiles, we can put air-to-ground missiles, we can put bombs, and we can put rockets. So we're going to highlight bombs because we're going to be doing bombing today. You're going to come across to the drop down and you're going to find Fab-100. You can see it gives you a little description. It is a 100 kilogram general purpose bomb low drag. Okay, that's what that stands for. GP, general purpose, LD, low drag. Bam, we're going to put one on. And you can see it's put a little bomb onto our wingtip, and it looks like a World War II bomb. Okay, it's got little fins there. World War II bomb, but it does the job. Okay, it doesn't look as cool as the Mark 80 series bombs that the NATO jets have got, but it still works. So we're just going to do that for all of our stations. Fab 100, Fab 100, Fab 100. We can't put one on the center line. It won't let us. We can only put a pods down there, and then we're going to come across to the other. Fab 100, Fab 100, Fab 100, and Fab 100. So now we've got 8 weapons fitted to our aircraft. Okay, 8 bombs on our aircraft. We can drop 8 bombs now. Excellent. That is us done. There is also another type of Fab 100 if you were looking in the list there. Okay, if we come down and you can see there is an MBD2-67U with 4 times Fab 100. So if I just click on that, let's have a look at it. So you can see it's put 4 bombs on the one rack. Okay, and this is what I thought when I was just starting to do some research on this to do this video. I was like, hell yeah. So I can put 32 bombs on and just drop 32. I can blow up 32 things if I'm accurate with my bombing. Man, this thing is a tank. Holy crap. That's not how it works. Okay, so as far as the Su-25 computer, or stores management computer, the bombing computer is concerned, this pylon, even though it's got 4 bombs on the pylon, it drops them all at the same time. So if you press pickle, the weapon release button, you can't individually drop bombs off the rack like you can on, say, the F-18 Hornet and the Viper and the Harrier and stuff like that, where you can triple rack and double rack bombs, and you can drop them singly. Okay, on this Su-25 launcher or rack here, you can't drop them individually. Okay, they all drop off the plane at the same time. So you'll press the weapon release button, all 4 bombs come off. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Just because you put, what's that, 32 bombs on board, you can still only drop them in 8s. Okay, so 8 drops is what you're going to have. All right, back to the Fab 100. We're going to leave that as that. Okay, so we're not going to worry about the 4 rackers. They work the same as the single rack. Right, so that's our loadout done. We're just going to click on empty because we're going to actually do a aircraft rearm and a refuel in the mission. So you guys actually have done one and you know how to do it. So on the other side here, we've got our aircraft stats. So we've got internal fuel, 100%, and it tells you the weight of fuel, 3,790 kilograms of fuel. We're going to drop that down to, let's go 80%. Okay, 80%. We're going to, when we get in the mission in a second, we're going to do a refuel and we're going to load our bombs up onto the aircraft. And we do it together so you guys know how to do it going from this point forward. Our aircraft weighs 11,496 kilograms, totally empty, no fuel on board, no weapons on board. We've got a total loadout of weapons in kilograms of 245 kilograms, and that 245 kilograms is the gun. Okay, so the gun there that is fitted on the aircraft at all times, it's got 100% ammunition. All the bullets weigh 245 kilos. And then we have got the most important statistic of all. We've got our max aircraft takeoff weight, okay, 19,500 kilograms, and then our total aircraft weight, which is 14,773 kilos. It gives you a percentage of your total aircraft takeoff weight. So we're at 76% max weight, which means we can take off and have no dramas. You want to make sure you pay attention to your max and your total weight. So if I bump the fuel up and just pick one, there we go, that one there. So we've got internal fuel, 100% fuel, blah, blah, blah. But you can see our total takeoff weight is 21,843 kilograms and our max weight is 19,500. So we're at 112% takeoff weight. So what that means is you're going to need a super duper long runway to even give yourself a chance of taking off. But even at that, you're probably not going to get airborne. You'll get up to speed, you'll pull back on the stick, and you will stay stuck to the ground because you're way too heavy. Your aircraft can't generate enough lift to overcome the weight of the aircraft, and you'll careen off the end of the runway into the grass and explode. So if you do have your heart set on taking some kind of psycho loadout like this, you need to offset it by mainly fuel. Okay, so we're going to adjust the fuel load now until, there we go, we're at 99% takeoff weight there, but we now have 32% fuel, so 1,200 kilograms of fuel on board. So the trade-off is, yeah, you've got a big kick-ass, ready for World War IV loadout ready to go, but you can only fly not very far because you don't have much fuel, and the Su-25 cannot aerial refuel, so you are severely limiting your range by taking this loadout. So it's a trade-off. You've got to trade off how far is the target that you're trying to hit, what kind of bombs or weaponry do you want to take, and then how heavy can you push the limits and still actually get airborne. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you keep an eye on your max weight and your total weight. Make sure that your aircraft is under max takeoff weight. Otherwise, you're going to struggle taking off. And if you're wondering why you keep crashing, that's probably why. All right. So we'll put that back to 80%. So internal fuel is at 80. We've got a empty aircraft, and we're going to do an aerial aircraft rearm and refuel in the mission edit, or in the mission in a second. So that's our aircraft done. Happy days. We need to put some targets down now. So let's speed up a little bit. So we're going to come over, we're going to put some targets over to the airfield called Krimsk to the east. Okay, east of Anapa, there's an airfield called Krimsk. We're going to grab the little tank icon. So on the left-hand side, hit the tank icon, ground units, click on that. We're going to just plump one down, and we're going to change the country to a red coalition. So we're going to select Russia, and we're going to leave it as a BTR 80. So we're going to zoom in here. If you want to see a little preview of what the unit looks like, if you click on the payload, which is now called ammo, it does the same thing. It brings you up a 3D view of the target. So that's what we're going to be putting down. That's going to be our targets that you're going to be dropping bombs on, those guys right there. All right, so we're going to come across. Can we add? Yeah, we can. There we go. All right. So once you've got your unit down, you can click and drag him around. Okay, make sure you're in edit though. If you're in add waypoint, when you click, you'll put a waypoint down, which you don't want to do. So you're going to make sure you're in the edit option, and then you can move this guy around. We're going to add some more units. So if I click on the little plus, okay, it adds another one. All right, but you can see if I remove that, so I unchecked player can drive right there. So player can drive is if you've got combined arms, which is like the I guess the War Thunder edition that you can drive. You can drive these things around. You can shoot them on the ground and stuff. It's a module you can get for DCS, but we're not going to worry about that. So I'm just turning that off. So I've got it unchecked there. So if I click on the plus button here, you can see the next unit it puts in, it's put 2 units, but it rechecks player can drive. If I want to just make it without player can drive, if you just click on the little arrow icon here, okay, it does the same thing, but it doesn't check the player can drive. So if you don't want to have units that people with combined arms can, jump in and drive around, because it causes a lot of lag on the servers and causes issues. So it's best practice. If you don't want people driving them, don't enable it so they can't do it. Just click on that. We're going to select 8 of them. Okay, so you're going to make 8 units. And there they are right there. If I click on the unit with the number 1 next to it, okay, left click and hold, I can drag the whole group around as a whole template. If I click on the other ones individually and drag them around, I can move them wherever I want. No dramas, but as soon as I grab the number 1, they all move together. So think of the number 1 is your master unit for the template, and then you're setting your template up around this number 1 guy. So good practice again. The number 1, you want to make sure you put him exactly where you're happy with him to be, so you don't touch him. Because if you spend ages putting all these other units down around everywhere you like, and then you're like, oh shit, this guy's in the wrong spot, I need to move him over, and then you move everything else, okay, and it screws everything up. So put him or her, the number 1 unit, put it where you want it to be, and you're happy you're not going to move it again, and then you just adjust the rest of these units. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move these guys around. I'm just going to change their direction. So that looks like they're kind of defending the airfield a bit. Put one on the road there. Put one here on the crossroad. All right, so we're just making them kind of look like they're not just all just spawned in a straight line. We've got a little bit of character to them. And there we go. And if you're wondering if your units don't look like mine, okay, you come up onto the top left here, view icons NATO. So if they look like that, they've got a box there. Icons NATO, go view icons Russia, and it changes. So you can see which direction they're pointing a lot easier. Oh, that little guy's over there. So grab him, we'll put him over there. There we go. So we got our 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 units there. What we're going to do now, because it's your first day bombing, we are going to be making it a little bit easier on yourself. So we don't want you to get shot down by these guys. So we're going to make them not be able to fire back at you. So you're going to go advanced waypoint actions. You're going to say add. And then on the type, you're going to click down on the drop down box. You're going to select set option. The action drop down, you're going to select ROE, which stands for rules of engagement. We've got 3 choices now. Weapons free is exactly that. They will fire at you when you get within their weapons envelope. So as soon as you're in range of their guns, they're going to start shooting at you because you're an enemy. They want to kill you. Return fire, they will not shoot at you until you shoot at them first. Okay, so they'll only shoot back if you draw first blood. So if you drop a bomb at them or shoot at them, you're going to make them all angry and they'll start shooting at you. And then weapons hold, which is what we're going to use, means they're not going to fire no matter what you do. Okay, you can drop bombs, you can blow them up. They're just going to stay there and let you do it, which is what we want for your first day. We don't want you to get shot down while you're trying to learn how to bomb. The next one, we're going to click add again. And then in the drop down, we're going to select disperse under fire, and we're going to turn that off. You're going to uncheck the box. So it should say disperse under fire equals off. And what that is in DCS, when you drop a bomb, so say this guy here, okay, you drop a bomb and you miss, the bomb lands here. This APC is going to see the bomb explode and he's going to crap his little pants and he's going to go, holy shit, I need to get out of here. And he's going to drive somewhere randomly. He'll randomly drive away from where he was parked. And they only do it once. Okay, well, they only do it once every whatever that timer is. So in DCS by default, they will do that once every 5 minutes. So if I dropped a bomb and missed him and then pissed off and left him alone for 5 minutes, and then I came back and I dropped another bomb and missed him, he'd move. So the first bomb, he'd move. I leave him alone. The second bomb, I come back 5 minutes later, drop another bomb and miss him, he'd move again. If I drop a bomb within 5 minutes of the first one landing near him, they'll move once. So the first bomb lands, he's going to drive over here, for example. Then if you drop another bomb on him within 5 minutes, he is not going to move if you miss. As soon as that seconds has elapsed, 600 seconds, which is 5 minutes, and you can change that if you want to later on, they will move. Okay, so it's like a dispersed timer. We want to turn that off so that they don't drive away on you. We want them to stay in the same spot, not shoot at you, so it's nice and easy for you to just practice your bombing, which is what we're after. All right, and then to get out of that, just click on Advanced Waypoint Actions, done. So that's our group there, complete, close. We've got 8 targets down there. What you're going to do now, you're going to, again, left click on the number 1. You're going to press left control and Charlie on the keyboard to copy the unit. You're going to zoom in, so wherever your mouse is on the keyboard, on the keyboard, wherever your mouse is on the actual the map, this is where your unit's going to paste. So I'm going to press left control Victor. And you can see, there we go. It is pasted in a copy of the first group. So I'm just going to move these guys around. So they're all on the grass, looking good. That looks good. I'm going to change the names of these groups here. So I'm going to call this group here Targets 01. And I'll call this group here Target 02. Okay, so I've got 2 groups there. And you just want to, like I said, get in the habit of calling your groups names so you know exactly what they are. That's it. Those guys are set up. Happy days. Last thing we need to do is put a waypoint down. So we're going to click back on our little aircraft. We're going to come across here. We're going to go to the waypoint tab, which should already be in. We're going to go add. We're going to zoom in on the map and we're just going to click right in the middle of Krimsk Airfield. And we've got our waypoint to navigate to where the targets are. Okay. Now, when you're putting a target waypoint down, it doesn't matter in the Su-25, but if you're going to be making missions later on down the track and you want a waypoint to be a target, so say this was an F-18, for example, and you wanted waypoint 1 was like, okay, guys, when you fly in, if you want to use waypoint 1 is where the targets will be, and the F-18 Hornet has got a targeting pod fitted to it, and they're like, sweet, I'm going to slew my targeting pod to waypoint 1 so I can start seeing the targets on the ground. If you don't change the altitude here, okay, the targeting pod will slew to a spot 2,000 meters above this spot on the runway. Okay, so it's going to be 2 Ks in the air is where the targeting pod will be looking. So the altitude matters when you're trying to use a target waypoint. So we're going to change that. We're going to just highlight it. You're going to just press 0 and just click anywhere in this box here. Just click it. And it defaults to ground level at that spot for the waypoint. So at that exact spot there where waypoint 1 is, it is 20 meters above sea level. So get in the habit of that as well. Okay, always make sure that your waypoints, if it is a target waypoint, is at ground level, and you just literally highlight it, press 0, click in the box, and it just does it for you. Happy days. Okay, and that way when people use their targeting pods, it's not looking in the air, making their life hard, and they whinge at you because you did a shit job on making the mission. Done. Close that stuff up. Last thing I'm going to do is just change the weather a touch. So let's select a preload here. Let's go with, let's go scattered number 7. Let's see what that looks like. Scattered 7, base layer at 3,360. That should be fine. Not too worried about that. We got no wind. We don't want any wind at the moment. We're just keeping this nice and easy. And you're going to change the time of day. Let's make it, it was probably in the morning before. Let's make it in the afternoon. We'll make it 6 o'clock, 1800 in the afternoon if you're following along at home. Okay, 1800, and we've got scattered 7 as our preset, and 3,360 meters is our base level of cloud. Close that up. I'll save it, and let's get into bombing. So we're going to run through everything, keybinds, all the stuff you're going to need. We'll talk about everything, and you guys are going to start blowing some stuff up. Here we go. See you in the jet in a second. All right, one more thing, guys, before we actually get into the mission. I just remembered before we crack in. So you've got 16 targets down here, 16 targets, and you've only got 8 bombs. So we're going to go through a little, just for today, just again, so you can practice and not have to worry about going back and rearming and only getting to drop 8 bombs and missing all 8 of them, because you're probably going to miss, let's be honest. So we're going to make it so you've got unlimited weapons for today. You can do that in the mission editor. So we're going to come up on the top row here. We're going to select customize, and you're going to select mission options. Click on that. On the mission options, we've got enforce, option, and value. So enforce means you're telling the mission editor to enforce the option with the value you've selected, regardless of what the player has got set up in their basic default, the DCS main menu options. Okay, so you can override stuff. So we are going to be focusing on this one here, unlimited weapons. And if you mouse over, it says just released or fired weapon immediately respawns. Cheat. We're going to click yes for enforce, and we're going to assign the value of tick for yes. So that means that now when you drop a bomb, I think it's like 3 seconds or so, the bomb will reload back onto your aircraft while you're in the air. So you're going to have unlimited bombs so that you can just practice bombing stuff and not having to worry about going back and landing, coming back out again. If you don't want to care, or if you don't care about that stuff, okay, if you're happy to just drop 8 bombs and then go back and get a rearm, practice your landings, you're more than welcome to. But for today, I just want you guys to focus on just getting your bombing down. So unlimited bombs is what you're going to do. So that's how you do it. Okay, unlimited weapons, check and check. All right, so we're in Su-25 Tango Bomber. Click on that. That is our group name and our start position and APA. That's the one we want. We're going to press OK, press fly, reset the track IR, left Alt Charlie to bring up my cursor, and we're going to bring up electrical power, right shift and lemur. Turns your aircraft power on. And you can see we've got our aircraft lighting is turned on, things are happening. We've got our fuel totalizer is turned on, so it's going to show us how much fuel we've got on board. And because in the mission editor we didn't fully select our full fuel load, we are going to bring up our mission resources tab. So we're going to press left Alt and apostrophe on the keyboard. And here we go. So you can see we've got 80% fuel, which is what we set in the mission editor. We're going to drag that to 100. We've got our loadout, select loadout, click on the drop down, and there's our custom pre-made one, 00fab 100 times 8. We've got our skin, and we've got our board number that we changed in the mission edit, 069. We're going to press OK.
Request refueling.
And you'll hear old mate say his things.
Request rearming.
Copy.
All right, so it's important that you hear them say copy. If they don't say copy, you will not get a rearm or a refuel. And the reasons why they won't say copy, the biggest reason is you've probably got the engines running. So in the FC3 aircraft, the Su-25 and all the other ones that are in Flaming Cliffs 3 in the module, so the Su-27, the A-10 Alpha, the Su-33, the MiG-29s, all of those ones, you have to have your engines off to get a refuel and a rearm. If you don't have your engines off, it will not do it. And the other one is that I see a lot of people do. They come over. So at the moment, you click on a napper, it says the coalition is blue. If we went over and landed at Krimsk, because Krimsk is not a blue airfield, okay, you can land there, but you'll get no rearm and refuel. Okay, because you can see in the resources of the aerodrome data, tells you we've got unlimited weapons and we've got unlimited fuel and all the rest of it. Okay, unlimited, the whole lot. We've got unlimited fuel and unlimited weapons. We can rearm and refuel as much as we want. If you click on a airfield and it doesn't come up with the aerodrome information like that, it means it's not controlled by your faction, your coalition. Okay, so you can't land there and get a refuel and a rearm. It just gives you all the information. So we've got our coordinates, we've got our ATC, which you don't need to worry about because it's already taken care of in the Su-25. You got your runways and then all the other stuff. So let's jump back out here. We're getting bombs fitted now. Rearm is complete. Lovely. We are all good. So we can see now, if I go to F2 view, we've got 4 bombs on each wing, loaded up. So when you are doing an aircraft refuel and a rearm, make sure you hear the ground crew also say refueling complete, rearming complete. Okay, if they don't say that, you're going to have issues, especially with the rearming complete. You'll have issues with your weapons. They won't work properly because they didn't get loaded on the jet properly. So you don't want to start your engines up before they've finished loading the aircraft up, is what I'm saying. All right, so now we're going to bring up our backslash key. We're going to press F5 for ATC, F1 and Napa, and we're going to request startup. And remember, in the mission edit, we changed the name of our call sign for our flight to Chevy 41. So he should say Anapa Chevy 41 request startup. Let's see if they say it.
Anapa Chevy 41 request startup.
There you go. Boom. Chevy 41. We changed our call sign.
Chevy 41 Anapa cleared for startup.
All right, we can start up. Starting both engines up. We're going to shut the canopy down. Left control Charlie. Engines are spooling up. So we can see we've got engine RPM, engine TIT, hydraulic pressure, and our engine start lights. Engine on, and that is our, I'm guessing that's hydraulic pressure as well. Low high pressure of some description. Alright, so engines are up and running. Wait for them to just stabilize. There they are. So now we're going to request taxi.
Anapa Chevy 41 request taxi to runway.
Excuse the head movement, guys.
Anapa clear to taxi to runway 22.
Just readjusting the seat. And reset the track wire. So we are cleared to go to runway 22. So again, running the engines up. So we're looking for about 60%-ish, a little bit more. We should start rolling. Away we go. So we're going to cruise on out, and then we'll run through before we take off. We'll just hold short of the airfield of the runway. So we're going to come out, we're going to chuck a left and just follow the taxiway pretty much the whole way. We'll hold short of the runway, and we'll go through keybinds and how to configure your weapons and stuff before we take off, and then we'll cover it again in the air so you guys are all full bottle, you know what you're doing. Righto, let's cruise on out. So you want to try and keep your taxi speed, you know, pretty slow. It is jittering pretty good right now. So that is the actual aircraft bumping up and down. That's why the screen's shaky. It's just the Su-25 doing its thing. It's kind of annoying though, shaking around like that. As you go into turns, you always want to back the power off, go into your turn, and then put the power back on as you come out. Because if you go into a turn too fast, you can scrape a wingtip, you can snap a wing, you can explode if you are a little bit too crazy with your taxi speed, so just keep that under control. And if we press F3 on the keyboard now, we can go to like a flyby view. And there is our lovely Su-25. With bombs on board, we're taxiing out to go and wreak some havoc on some BTRs out at Krimsk. You can press F2, which goes to our external view. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. And you can use the mouse to actually move around and look around to get some cool angles. And then F1 goes back into internal in the cockpit. Alright, so we're going to bring our landing lights and navigation lights on. So I'm going to press the button twice for both. Navigation lights and gear lights. Can't remember what the keybinds are, but I did cover them in the other videos, so hopefully you bound them along and you've turned them on as well. Just get in the habit of doing all this stuff. Nav lights on and landing lights on when you're taxiing around. And then once you get airborne and you're about to go into the area, you turn everything off, all your lights off, so that you're not advertising where you are with gigantic bright lights. We're also going to put our flaps down to takeoff, so I'm going to press F on the keyboard. And we're looking for one stage of flaps. Okay. And we're just going to slow down here. And then we'll just hold short of the airfield, of the actual active runway, and we'll go through keybinds. Alrighty guys, so let's go through your controls that you're going to need right now. So we're going to go into the mission pause, press escape, press adjust controls, click on that, and the first button you're going to be binding is number 7 on the keyboard, air to ground mode. So you want to bind that to something on your HOTAS if you would like to, or if not, just press number 7 and remember that number 7 is air to ground mode. Next buttons you're going to need is weapon fire. Okay, by default it is spacebar on the keyboard. You also need weapon change, which is by default delta on the keyboard, and you're going to need the last 3 here, which is ripple interval decrease, ripple interval increase. Okay, so left shift and Victor, and then ripple quantity select / SPPU select is left control spacebar. So you need those 3 there bound, plus your weapon fire button, as well as your air to ground select, which is number 7. So they're the binds you're going to need for the Su-25 to drop bombs. Now we're going to have a quick chat about our weapons panel. All right, so I'm just going to pause my track IR here so you guys don't. Oh Jesus! Trying to like look at my keyboard and get my track IR in the right spot at the same time. There we go. Paused. All right. So on our left-hand side, this is our ripple interval selector. Okay, so we can either set it on salvo. So the top one is salvo, which means it's going to drop the bombs that you've chosen with no delay. They're all going to drop at the exact same time. There's no interval in between. Then you've got 0.1 milliseconds, 0.2 milliseconds, 0.3 milliseconds, 0.4 milliseconds, and then this one on the end here, the CEPN, whatever that is for the 4-rack munition. So the Fab 400 4-rack that we covered in the mission editor, it'll put a delay of 0.3 milliseconds on the drop. So when you press the weapon release, it'll kind of like carpet bomb them a little bit. Get a little bit of a carpet bomb going on for that stores only. All right, and the next one is on the right hand side here. This is our selection, quantity selection. So we've got number 1, which is dropping a single store off of a pylon, or releasing a store singly from a pylon. We've got number 2, which is pairs, so it'll drop 2 at the same time. Number 4 will drop 4 at the same time, and then BCE will drop all of your stores of the same type at the same time. So if we've got 8 Fab 100s on the aircraft, if we have it in BCE and we press the weapon fire button, it's going to drop all 8 bombs at the same time. It'll drop all of them all at once. If we have it on 1, it'll drop a bomb. Each time you press the weapon fire button, it will drop a pylon, a bomb off the pylon, and this is your weapons page, or your weapons visual. What is the actual thing? Let's have a look. Can't remember what it's called, so I'm just checking the kneeboard here. I'll get the hang of the names of these things eventually. So you got your number 20 weapons status panel, is that one, and then over here, that is your weapon system control panel. So weapon system control panel is that one. Weapon status panel is the one on the right. And you can see we've got a very crude looking front-on view of our Su-25, and we've got yellow lights indicating that we have stores fitted to those pylons. And then when we do hit number 7, so we go to air to ground, you can see we get green lights underneath saying that those weapons are configured and ready to drop. Okay. So that is that one there. So when you drop the weapons, they will drop from the outboards and work their way in. So if you are on single drop, number 1, it'll drop from either left or right. I don't know which one it'll drop, but it'll drop outboard, outboard, Next, it'll work its way in just for center of gravity. If you have it on pairs, it's going to drop both outboards at the same time. Then the next pylon's in both times, so it'll just drop them in symmetrical pairs on each wing. If you have it at number 4, it's going to drop 2 bombs on each wingtip, or each wing at a time, so it'll drop the 2 outboards at the same time, and then it'll drop the 2 inboards at the same time when you press the weapon release. And if you have a BCE, it's going to drop all 8 at the same time. We'll go through that when we're flying, actually getting airborne. We'll cover that because we've got unlimited bombs, so we can drop as many as we want. All right, so we're going to request takeoff now.
Anapa, Chevy 4-1, request takeoff.
And we'll get ourselves airborne, heading over to
Chevy
waypoint number 1.
Anapa, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 756.32.
756.32, so we're going to adjust that. 756, yeah, that'll do that. All right, so let's taxi on out onto the middle. I'm going to press number 1 for en route, and we're at waypoint number 1, which is where our targets are. So we've got 50.5 kilometers to fly over to the area before we can drop our bombs. All right, let's take up center line. Okay, brakes on. All right, so one last check for our takeoff configuration. Landing gear is down. We've got 3 green lights. Flaps are at takeoff, which is 1 stage of flaps. We have got our altimeter set. We have got our brakes are on. Speed brakes are off. We are good to run them up. So go into full power. As soon as our brakes stop holding, we release the brakes. There they go, brakes off. And I'm just using rudder just to keep myself on center line. We're looking for a speed, because we do have bombs on board, we want to be about 220 to 240 kilometers an hour as we start to rotate. You want to try and not exceed about 12 degrees nose up, otherwise you run the risk of smashing your tail into the ground. Yeah, so pulling up. All right, we've got positive rate of climb now. Gear up. We want to have our flaps go up before we hit 400 kilometers an hour. So flaps coming up now. And we need to head towards 090. So we're going to come left using our rudders. Away we go. So we're going to head on over to waypoint number 1, which we set up in the mission editor as our target waypoint. So you can see on the HUD now, it's got a altitude of 20 meters as we defaulted in the mission editor. And then our airspeed 480, that's what the airspeed was at the waypoint. Because we're using it as a target point, it doesn't really matter about those top numbers at all. We're not worrying about those. We're just using it as a navigation point to get to where we need to be. Alrighty, so let's roll on out. Just lining ourselves up here, so that yellow line in the middle of our HSI. Almost there. We're going to climb up here. We're going to try and get up to an altitude of 2,000 meters. 2,000 meters, and we're going to be doing a speed of 500 kilometers an hour. Just going to start nosing the aircraft down now because we're getting close to 2,000. We are 44 kilometers from waypoint 1, which is our airfield Krimsk. All right, and so remember, we don't want to be following the flight director this time, because if we put our crosshair on the circle there, it's going to fly us all the way down to 20 meters sea level, which is going to be smashing into the ground. So we don't want to follow that anymore. We're just using our HSI just as a waypoint. Now just trimming my aircraft so that we've got a nice neutral flight on our way over. It's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. Just back the throttles off just a touch. And if we look, zoom right in here, we should start to see there is the airfield right there where we're heading to. That is our target area. So while we're on our way over, let's have a quick squizzy at our bombs. So we're going to put them on number 1. So I'm going to press number 7 now on the keyboard. I have armed my weapons. We're in air to ground mode, so you can see the HUD has changed. We've got IP. Easy way to remember is IP for CCRP, constantly calculated impact point. And we've got a little circle here with that dot in the middle. Okay, so that is what, that little dot in the middle, that's what you want to put on your target when you press the weapon release button. We've got a ranging information, so 5 kilometers all the way down to 0, and that's the slant range to that pipper point right there. So we are about just under 3.5 Ks in a straight line to the pipper point there, according to the computer. And then we've got a B for bomb. Okay, that's our type of weapon we've got, and then you can see what stores. We've got 8 bombs on board, as we can see there. And we've got green lights. So we're going to just drop, because we've got unlimited bombs here. So we've got ourselves in salvo. We've got number 1 selected. So when I press the weapon fire, which I am also going to cover one more bind, because we won't be able to do this unless we make this happen. So adjust controls, and the last one you want is launch permission override. So what this is going to do is going to let you drop a bomb without being in weapon parameters to fire, just to prove how this how the weapon system works. I'm going to turn it back off. So I'm using launch permission override, left alt W on the keyboard. That's what we're after. So I'm going to press that, and we get an LA. So when you're doing bombing in a second proper, you're going to wait for the LA to pop up on the screen before you can drop the bomb. So now we're all good to go. I'm just going to go to external view. I'm going to press pickle, the weapon release. It's going to go from the outboards. 1, outboards, then we'll go next pylons in. Next pylons in. Each time we press the pickle button, away we go. Okay, it's dropped all of our bombs. And you're going to see they start reloading because we've got unlimited weapons on board. So you can keep practicing. Now, because you do have that unlimited weapons set up, each time you are mucking around with this, you need to deselect air to ground. So go back to number 1 for navigation, and then press number 7 again. That'll reset your pylons, everything that you need, and then go again. Okay, so now we're going to go to pairs. Okay, so we're going to drop 2 at a time, and I'm just going to go to F2 view again. So we're going to press the weapon release. 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, it drops all of them. Just going to go back to, there's our airfield there. It's going to load them all up. Right, now I'm just going to go to active pause here, and which is left shift, left Windows key, and pause, and it will say at the top active pause on. So now we're frozen in space, just so we can don't overfly the airfield here. Now we're going to go to 4 at a time. So if I press the number 7 key on the keyboard, arm my weapons again. If I press the weapon release, you're going to see the 2 outboard pylons are going to go at the same time. Boom, and then boom. All 8 bombs are gone. We're going to let it reload itself, and then we're going to go to BCE. Okay, so press number 1, number 7. Maybe you only have to do that because we've got unlimited weapons. When you have got just normal loadout, as soon as the bombs are gone, that's it. You won't have to. You got nothing else to drop, so it's all good. So now we're going to go to BCE, and we're going to press the weapon release, and then all 8 are going to come off at the same time. Boom, hear them come off. Away we go. Wait for them to load back up. Alright, so we're loaded. And then last one, we're going to go through the intervals. So now we're going to, let's switch it to, we'll go 0.4 second interval. So I'm going to press unpause now. So left shift, left Windows key, and pause. Active pause is off. Coming out, and then we're going to go to F2 view. I'm going to press and hold the weapon release button now, and it's going to put a 0.4 millisecond release timer between each bomb. So I'm pressing and holding, and it does the carpet bomb. Okay, so there we go. Just going to turn launch override off. deselect. And there is our airfield as we perfectly come over the top. Alright, so if we have a look and zoom in, you should be able to see our APCs we put on the ground there. So they are on the roads. So we're at the area that we need to be. So what we're going to do now, your first mission, is you want to turn your nav lights off. As soon as you get close there, you want to turn off all of your navigation lights, formation lights, all that stuff. It's called fencing in. Get your weapons all loaded up and get yourself ready to go. So your first goal is we are going to orbit around the airfield, and your goal is to keep your eyes out on the ground looking for targets, and you want to maintain an altitude of 2,000 meters and a speed of 500 kilometers an hour, all while looking outside of the cockpit. Alright, so we're just going to cruise around here. And all we're doing is just practicing flying a level turn, trying to maintain those two numbers while we're looking out, trying to spot targets on the ground, looking out for missile launchers or any other threats that are shooting at us so that we don't get killed. Okay, the reason that this is important is because each enemy ground unit has got its own height or threat envelope, weapons envelope, and you don't want to fly into that threat window. So for today, they're not shooting at us. Alright, but just say there was an IR SAM, so like a little man pad or a little infrared SAM site down there, and you had to stay above, for this example, 2,000 meters. If you flew under 2,000 meters, that guy could shoot at you because you're in his range. So, and again, that I don't know exactly what the altitude is in meters for the man pads and the IR missiles, but as we get to that, we'll cross that bridge later. But for this example, if we can't maintain a nice orbit around the area looking for our targets and keep our altitude the same, you are going to end up either flying too low and you'll get into the weapons engagement zone of the ground units down below, and they can start shooting at you, which is bad. You don't want them to be able to do that. Or you'll climb too high and you'll lose all your airspeed and you'll stall out, resulting in you going down into their threat zone and you get shot at. So we want to maintain a nice even bank, so even like talking now 2,100, so we want to slow down a bit, 500 kilometers an hour. We're descending down. I'm going to press number 7 now to arm up our air to ground. You notice we've lost our indicator of climb on the right hand side, so now you're going to have to use your gauges down here to guesstimate your level of climb. Okay, and this is a skill in itself, being able to maintain your altitude, maintain your airspeed, and keep your eyes out of the cockpit while you're scanning for targets on the ground. And you just use your trim as required. Alright, so we're going to do one more lap, and what we're going to do, we're going to pick a target out, so let's find one now. We're going to go for that guy right there, right on the intersection. Okay, right on that T intersection there. That's our target. If you guys can see that. So we're going to extend away. We're going to come around. We've found our target. That is our target. So we're going to make this nice and straightforward here. So we're going to extend away. We're going to fly all the way down here, way past the airfield. We're going to come back and we're going to have the airfield. We're going to put the airfield on our left-hand side of the canopy. Alright, so you're still practicing your turns. Remember, use your rudders, coordinated turns, all that stuff. Trying to keep your airspeed 500 kilometers an hour, 2,000 meters. Keep an eye on your climb indicator. So we're in a dive now. We're going to pull back up. All these things you got to keep in check. So there's our target there. We know where he is. We've ID'd him. Now we just need to set ourselves up for a good run-in so we can maximize our chance of hitting these guys. Alright, so we're going to level off here and we're just going to extend out towards the ocean. Just retrim as required. So as we extend away, we just want to get a bit of separation. So we're going to line up. If you can imagine, that's the airfield there. We want to have the airfield down our left-hand side of the canopy or the right-hand side. Up to you which one you feel comfortable with. But we want to have the target on down the side of our aircraft so we can keep eyes on. So if you imagine the airfield is right in front on the nose, we've got our little guy, we're looking at him. Okay, we're looking at the little guy down there, and we've got our eyes on him, and then eventually it's going to go underneath your nose and you're going to lose sight. Whereas if you kept the airfield on your left, you can keep your eyes on the target and roll in and hit him. Alright, so we're going to roll in now, turn back around, and we're going to line ourselves up. The airfield. So we want the airfield on our left hand side. Again, trying to keep around 2,000 meters, 500 kilometers an hour. That's going to be our altitude and our airspeed as we come in. Now as we roll around, we're going to level ourselves wings level so that the airfield is on our left. And then as we get to the point where we're going to roll in, and I'm going to talk you through that in a second. There's our airfield. Let's shallow our turn off a bit. So we want to have a bit of separation between us and the target. So I want it to be kind of anywhere in between the mirror range. So I want the airfield anywhere in that range there when I'm flying straight and level. All right, which is pretty much, we're looking good. So we got some separation. So the airfield's going to come down my left-hand side, and I'm going to look and wait for my target, which again, remember he was on that crossroad right there. So I'm going to wait for him to get just on the other side of the canopy frame of the rail. While we're talking about that, we've just lost some altitude, so we're going to climb back up. Airspeed 500, and then as soon as that target gets to just behind the canopy rail, I'm going to cut my throttles to idle. I'm going to roll in on the target, get my nose on him. I'm going to put this pipper right behind him, and I'm going to walk it on, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So we're coming up, waiting for him to get just behind the rail, which he is right now. Throttles to idle, rolling in, putting the nose on the target. I'm going to ID the target, and I'm just going to put the circle, the pipper, just underneath him. I'm going to walk it in. And then as we get closer, we're going to get in range. So this needle's coming down, the arrow. Throttles are on idle. It's going to say LA. There we go. And pickle. Full power. Pull back on the stick. Don't pull too hard. Climb back up. And then let's have a look over our shoulder. Did we hit him? We did. He is on fire. That is a shack. We got him. Alright, and we're just going to climb back up to 2,000 meters, 500 kilometers an hour, rinse and repeat. So we want this to be repeatable. Okay, we want it all to be repeatable. Every single bomb drop, same conditions. 2,000 meters, 500 kilometers an hour. Run the target down your left-hand side, get eyes on him. As soon as he comes past the canopy rail, roll in, throttles to idle. Place the pipper behind the target, and then walk the pipper on. Alright, so we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to pick a target out as we're cruising in along the side of the airfield. You see our weapon has reloaded itself, so you can just do this to your heart's content. So we're 1 from 1 right now. So let's go ahead and roll ourselves back around. Again, remember your rudders, coordinated turns. Coordinated turns are going to make your orbits a lot nicer, and you'll be able to maintain altitude a lot better than if you're all out of whack. So just keep an eye on airspeed, 500, altitude, 2,000. And your rate of climb is this gauge here, altitude, that gauge, and then your airspeed is this gauge. If you can't see the HUD because of the sun, you can refer to these gauges right here. That's our airspeed indicator, our altitude on the altimeter, and then your vertical speed indicator, rate of climb. Alright, so we're going to come around again. So just keep an eye on this, guys. Okay, on the ball and slip indicator. That's how you know if someone knows what they're doing when they're flying. If you can see this and it's dead center when they're doing turns, they are using rudder pedals, they're doing coordinated turns, they know what they're doing. If the ball's way over here or over there when they're doing turns, they're not using their rudder pedals, they're not flying as good as they could be. So just keep an eye on that and see a good little thing to look for. I'm sure if you watch that during these videos, I'm going to forget a lot because I've been spoiled by the Hornet, because the Hornet does it all for you. It's, the flight control system takes care of all that stuff for you. You don't have to worry about it. Alright, so we're going to go for... Let's go for... that guy right there. Alright, so we're going to throttles to idle. Rolling in. Okay, eyes on the target. Zooming in. So he's right there. Alright, just keeping the pipper behind him. As you get closer, you just push the nose down a little bit more. And here we go. Pickle. Full power. Climb back up. And did we get him? It's a shack, he's on fire. Alright, so climbing back up to altitude, 2,000 meters, 500 kilometers an hour. Too much rudder that time. So the rudder and stuff, you'll eventually get the hang of. You'll get it. You'll get the feel of how much you need to put in when you turn, and your feet will just automatically default to do what they're supposed to do, which is what you want to happen. You want this flying coordinated turn to be, instinctual. You shouldn't even have to. You'll eventually get to the point where this will just be bang on in the middle, and you won't even be looking at it. Okay, because you just get used to how much rudder you need to kick in to keep yourself in a level turn, and it just becomes habit. You roll left, you put left rudder pedal in. You roll right, you put right rudder pedal in. Need to climb back up a bit more. Throttles back a touch. Start our roll. Let's pick another target out. So we're going to switch now. We're going to drop a pair. So we're going to go to... Oh, actually, we've been dropping all of them at the same time after all that. Okay, well... Actually, no, we probably haven't, because we're just pressing it once. Alright, so we're going to select pair now. I'm going to put this on salvo mode. Okay, so we want to be on salvo and on 2. So this time we're going to drop 2 bombs at the same time. So that one there, you should have been in salvo and single. Just make sure if you fucked up like me just then. We got it lucky because we had the press and hold weapon release to put the interval on, even though we're in BCE. So now we are going to be dropping 2 bombs at the same time. Let's just extend away out to the right a touch. Just, again, you want to get that separation so you can spot the target. So let's have a look. What do we see? Where is one? Right there, on the corner. I'm going to go for him. Righty. So let's roll that on 050. Keep our altitude looking the goods. Alright, we see him. Throttles to idle. Rolling in. Spotting the target. So wings level fairly quickly. And we're going to drop a pair this time. Got him lined up. And pickle. 2 bombs away. We hit him. Yeah, we did. That's a shack. On fire. 3 from 3. Alright, so that is pretty much how you do dumb bombing. The last one I'm going to cover is how to do a carpet bomb without going into a dive. So we're going to use a poor man's CCRP, okay, constantly calculated release point. Yeah, so we're going to configure our pylons now. So we're going to select BCE. We want all of them. We're going to put a 4-second weapon release time, and we're going to do the following. So we're going to extend away here. While we're extending away, I'm going to talk you through. So what we want to do is we want to put the airfield on the nose, and we're going to put the airfield, okay, we're going to put the tire marks, which is where we're going to drop it, tire marks on the pipper. Once that little dot in the pipper is on the tire mark, you're going to press and hold weapon release. It's going to put a little diamond there. Okay, so that diamond is marked that spot on the ground, and then all you need to worry about is keeping this, so as you move your aircraft, you want to keep the vertical tail of your little aircraft in the HUD right in the center of that dot, and that's going to line you up as long as you fly straight and level. This will give you a countdown. This will count down from 10 to 0, and I'm still holding the weapon release. I haven't let it go. You just hold it until all the bombs come off. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So this time we don't need to worry about chopping our throttles to idle. We're just going to climb back up to 2,000 meters. So we're going to line ourselves up so we're straight down the runway. That's the most important thing here. That's what we're looking at the most. Okay, you want to be nice and lined up, especially when you're doing a runway drop, because these are not precision guided bombs. You need to be flying nice and straight and level for this style to happen. And again, remember, you guys got unlimited weapons, so you can practice this. Practice bombing a runway. You can keep blowing up all those targets down there. So I'll show you how to do this one, and then we will wrap it up for the video. Too much rudder there. Alright, so there's our airfield over there, so we're going to line it up so it's straight down the nose. A little bit harder now, so you're just guesstimating how hard you got to pull and all the rest of it to get yourself lined up. Righty. Okay, coming around a little bit more. Almost there. Alright, so we're lining ourselves up. So all I'm doing is just putting the pipper now on the spot where I want it to be. And pretty much right there. And we're just going to fly. So it's nice and level. Line ourselves up with that dot. So wings level now. Pretty much on the mark. I'm just holding weapon release. So you can see we got our countdown coming down now. When it gets to 0, it's going to drop. Let's go to F6 view. And I'm just going to press left control F11. Just make sure we're not going to crash here. There we go. Then I press F11. We should see our bombs hit. See how close we were to hitting. There we go. Carpet bombed the airfield. Happy days. I'm just using numpad multiply and divide to move it in F11 view. So you can see we dropped 8 bombs and we hit the airfield. Happy days. All the while we stayed out of harm's way up at altitude. So that's how you can do a CCRP drop to do like a carpet bomb from altitude. All right. That'll do us, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you go ahead and like the video. Helps the channel out a bunch if you do throw a like on there. If you've got any questions, queries, or comments on anything that we've covered today, make sure you throw them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. And last but not least, if you haven't already and you have watched the channel, you like the videos, you enjoyed the content, and you haven't hit the subscribe button, if you could do me a solid and hit the big old red subscribe button, and while you're at it, hit the little bell icon and select all notifications, so that way YouTube will give you a notification when a new video comes out from me or any other YouTube videos that you like to watch, YouTube channels, because the way that the YouTube algorithm works, it doesn't show you all the channels that you're subscribed to. Okay, it won't show you all the new videos that come out from them. It'll show you what it thinks you want to watch. So if you want to see every video from a channel, make sure you click on the little bell icon and select all notifications, and then that way you won't miss a video when it comes out live. Alrighty guys, keep practicing. Remember, don't stop doing this shit until you can hit pretty much every single target every single time. And once you get good dropping them down your left side, you want to get good dropping them down the right side. Okay, you want to be able to hit targets in a right-hand orbit and a left-hand orbit, 16 from 16 every single time. Keep practicing, because the better you get at this, the more easy the rest of the stuff is going to get. All right, guys, catch us on the next one. See you later.